네, 첫 번째 세션에 좌장을 맡은 서울대학교 윤성철입니다. So welcome everyone. This is Songchol Yoon and Seoul National University. And the first session will start with an invited talk by Dr. Jung Hee Ro. And Dr. Jung Hee Ro has got her PhD at Yonsei University in 1985 in astronomy. Then she moved to US and she's got PhD at the University of Maryland in 1995 on X-ray study of composite supernova remnants. Then she spent a long time at Caltech as a staff scientist, and since 2011, she's a researcher at SETI Institute. And today, she's going to talk about exploring transient universe, supernova explosion, and before and after. Let's welcome her.
Thank you very much for inviting me. This is very honor to give a talk at Korean Astronomy meeting. So I'm going to talk about exploding transient universe and supernova explosion and before and after. So why do we study transient? Transient are, including supernovae, are birthplace of the making nuclear synthesis, and also lab physics in extreme environment. Big group in Korea studying the gravitational wave targets. Then other is in other invisible material, and also, the transient leave behind the compact object. Okay, so this is our in kilonova. 2018, there is big mergers of two neutron stars. Those making the our process is rapid neutron capture element in many environment. So for example, these two neutron star, and also not only the gamma rays and infrared, we can also see the optical, I don't know, I'm sorry about this spectrum. Somehow it moved behind, okay? The optical spectrum make a flat light curve, so which make this light curve, which is radiator spectrum. Okay, here is one example of the merging neutron star make this ultra heavy element, including gold and leadenite, and it's highlighted in purple. Okay, supernova are composed of a few different types. As you know, Nobel Prize was given in 2011 for cosmology using type 1 supernovae, which are from the white dwarf. Then there is two supernovae called collapsed supernova, which has onion-like structures here, as you see here. Then it leaves behind the neutron star, compact object. When mass is very high, it make a black hole in the middle of the supernovae. Supernova losing hydrogen helium by another force, for example, the binaries. Sorry, it's a little confusing. Okay, here is the one example of the initial mass and final mass. We see the white dwarf type 1 supernova here, the massive neutron star. Massive stars leave behind the neutron stars, and when mass is behind the, but when the metallist is we don't see this high mass stars. Usually those are population 3 in the early universe, which has almost near zero metallicity. So we can see trip supernovae relatively high mass, but recent study show relatively low mass binaries, including Dr. Yun. And here is black hole detections and its birth. As you see, gravitation wave is detected from many sources, including the neutron star mergers. Then here is the simulation of black holes behind the 3D simulation was done here by Burrows et al. Here is the transient can have gravitation wave with united our sources here, very burst here, then GRB gamma ray burst. And also, it has been suggested supernovae can be gravitational sources as well. Here, I'm focused on dust formation and molecule formation in supernovae. Dust is detected in supernova ejecta, and relatively recently, huge amount of dust observed in high redshift galaxies. At that time, there is no AGB stars, only massive supernova contribution from contribution of dust to early universe. So here is the dust contributor to the early universe. Okay, I'm talking about Cas-A, one of supernovae, very bright supernovae in our galaxy, about 350 years old. Progenitor stars are 15 to 30 solar mass. It has multi-wavelengths, nice images, the excitation. Here is the spectral image. For extra galaxy, the super extra see them. So we don't know the dust is from those dust, including those very significant dust features. This is amount of dust you can explain from meteorites. People do lab experiment to see those compositions. Also, lights we can see addition of the Cassiopeia. You can see it's really many filters here, especially green is continuum at 12.8 micron. You can see here the shock material, and this is the shock same material may need. This is all ejectors. And especially in this JWST infrared image, we can see this is bright green emission. We call the green monster. The origin of those materials is very interesting because people thought maybe more, the silicated ejectors or other ejector materials. Here is highlights more forwarded shock material, synchrotron emission, and especially CSM material in green, which is in the paper in preparation. We'll see these holes, surprisingly many holes here. Which are from ejector punching the materials. Touch 5 synchrotronation and then 4.4 included. You can see 3 color images. Synchrotron is blue, especially green is the CO, which is very contrasted to the argon ejector in the red here. Outer outskirts of the is done out from the center. This is green emission is again CO emissions. So we had we have IFU spectroscopy, so which is field of view focused on these two. Okay, we'll see the spectrum here, some ejector lines, but huge bright CO emission, which is CO fundamental band. After we lost, here is the example compared with Orion. You can see little wiggles, very similar to Orion, but which is much brighter, has somewhat like underneath continuum-like structures. We attribute those structures due to velocity width, because supernova has very broad, not only you can K temperature. And not only that, we notice there is a little in the universe. Okay, here is we see a few different spectrum in different position. You can see some position has more prominent death structure, and also there is some variations. So from the CO emission, basically I showed that CO is more outer layer, which is it's consistent with the idea CO is reformed in the sharp materials. And dust is surrounded by this reformed CO, might be protected the dust with dust survive. So this is only one case detected CO emission before. So here is a main conclusion of this JWS. We see actually discovery of the J lines we'll see here. Okay, so here next time I want to move to near infrared observation of supernovae. The motivation here is what we studied from the young supernovae. To the solar mass dust, more is predict a lot in the supernovae, including silicate and aluminum oxide, and other component silica as well. So here we start to study near-infrared spectrum of supernovae, then we first the main coolant so that make environment suitable for dust formations. So here is one case, it's 2017 EAW. We did a number of CO emission as it cooling down, and CO appeared about 100 days after the explosion. So here is, you can see kind of black body emission here. There is extra dust as well soon after CO is formed. Okay, here is the type 2N recent event of 23 IXF. Many people are aware about this object. In fact, there were but CO is about 10 to the minus 3 solar mass. Okay, so as I mentioned here, this slide give review that CO actually make a difference when you have a CO cooling. Temperature become, about 1500 on the or so. And also not only CO is formed, also the CO is destroyed by these electrons, many free electrons or other environment. In the cassette, and CO was destroyed, but it's very fragile. CO is very fragile, so it reformed soon after it's destroyed. Here is one example, 17 EAW. You can see CO, band head here. We estimate the temperature. So we compare with the ISF 2N. Different, slightly different condition. However, there is a slightly higher continuum. This plot does not show quite. So, however, we don't see very strong difference from type 2P. Apparently, at early stage, it doesn't make a huge difference in the spectrum. One of the reasons we want to compare between the two is in the 2P, we see a lot of dust, but we don't know, people suggest it's a new dust formed in supernova ejecta. However, some people think those dust are from pre-existing circumstellar medium. So that's one of the reasons we want to see how they develop dust emission in 2N. 2N is interacting with the circumstellar medium supernovae. Okay, here is the example of the CO comparison with the time. So you can see 1987A was well observed. This is curves are modeled in different layers. This is total amount. You can see this is LTE model, so it's a little smaller than non-LTE. We hope we can do anyway. Here is, you can see we observed the CO earlier than 1987. Here is IXF with the time. We happen to observe IXF much later because it was behind the sun right before that time. So here is the dust overall dust emission in type 2P is relatively small, 10 to the minus 3. Around 1 solar mass. So this still, we want to see the development at the later days. Some people think dust grows much later than model predicted. Oh, this is moved again. Sorry about this spectrum. Maybe it's maybe I should have used my computer. Okay, here it is the CO detection in type 2P. Spectrum is rotated, but you can see the CO emission here, silicon and iron emissions in there. Here is a model of the non-LT models here. Then you can see the mixed ejecta case recreated the CO emission, but non-mixed does not create this emission. That indicated really ejecta are highly mixed. Okay, here is the condition of temperature, which is, this is comparison with the 2P. You can see this one does not have band heads, while you can see very clear band head, which indicated CO is optically thick. Here is another case, type 2B, as I mentioned, A, and you can see here, this particular one is interesting because at the beginning there is hydrogen, which indicate 2, but later it disappeared. Later stage, almost like type 1B. So we are particularly interested in this case. 2B are known to have floppy ejecta, and this particular one was about 20 solar mass progenitor stars. Okay, we observed the infrared emission. You can see here some after 100 days, we start to see this CO emission for this case, and very strong helium absorption in this case. And so hydrogen was stripped off, but still has the helium. So you can see model fit of this is unit of 10 to the minus 4. Then, you know, strong CO emission is shown here. So it's very interesting, this 2B time scale is between, although, you know, after 10 days, spectrum is almost identical to 2P spectrum. However, we see the CO appearance is much later than this type 1C. That indicated internally temperature cooling is much slower than type 2P. So in here, after we start working this many CO detections, there are groups start to do simulations and modeling of the CO emission. You can see this is CO mass. As you see, we only people ever observed at this early stage, but they predicted the CO will grow until 600. So it's very interesting, which is similar to type 2P, but we'll see, we, you know, don't have, I don't believe theory. I want to test the theory. So hopefully we can detect sometime this strong CO emission at later phase of the type 2B. So time scale is very important when CO appear and when disappear, because, you know, we want to follow up with the JWST observation. You know, we don't, you know, it's very hard to get time. So if we don't have any idea about this time scale about CO and dust formation, it's hard to follow up. So eventually we want to see this various type of dust features appeared in the spectrum. Carbon can be seen in near infrared, but others may need the mid infrared. So here is one simulation model show, type 2P, you know, it's much harder. 2B have, we see observation, CO detection is much earlier than 2P. Here is superluminous supernovae SLSE, which temperature cooling is much slower than 2P. So basically dust forms about, you know, 1500 K. So here is another model people start working on, the simulations of the CO and molecules. They expected, this is CO fundamental as we see in the CASA JWS spectra, but here it's much broader, doesn't have this band head. So, you know, nice saw-like patterns. Here the reason is probably its temperature, I mean, the velocity is much larger than Cassiopeia, but they predict SIS and other molecules, but, you know, so far it's very different from what we see from the spectrum, but we don't have that many JWS spectra yet. So here is another, in order to do really science more exciting, really you need to model and data at the same time. So I'm glad to see there is another group is doing this molecular formation, including this temperature calculation. This, advanced work of this kind of work is very important. We can make predictions, what we see in observation. You can see here, okay, to see dust formation. Okay, so another fact I want to focus is, this is basically the population of this 10 solar mass star and 40 solar mass stars. Then we calculated how, dust production rate. Then you can see here, not only people believe type 2P are the main one, which is more than 50% of supernovae. But actually you can see here, those are, quite good contribution. But these massive stars are very important after accounting for this initial mass function, which is, population of stars. Although, errors are still big. And N130D, we believe it's 1B or 1C type, which contribution is much even larger than 2P supernovae. So there are many other types, which has main supernovae and other 2B, and to observe more of the other type, only measurement which can compare to the early universe dust production is this plot. However, we hope to include many of supernovae in nearby galaxies, hopefully, further out to high redshift, at least more than nearby galaxies. So we can see how much the really dust produced by supernovae, very important. And, we really hope to, using JWST, we can see the first supernovae sometime. Okay, so future work, and we continue to observation, including high redshift and different category, and we would like to add more samples. Not only that, we want to understand really dust grain forms in different times, in different time scale, which is only predicted by the models, but we don't observe with the time suddenly jump the magnesium silicate or the carbon or silica. So in principle, we should be able to see over time. And theoretical also work is important to see emission. And here is the collaborators. Here I highlight the students I work with in green, and other collaborators here. Also, undergraduate students at Seoul National University has posters. So welcome to go find to see the poster. Thank you.
Thank you for a very nice overview on dust formation in supernovae. Any questions?
I have a question about in the first part of your presentation, you showed us the IFU observation result, and I wonder, is there any interesting features in the spatial distribution of CO in supernovae ejecta? I remember I only
really earlier, but okay, this one.
And you did IFU for 2 knots, but Are there any information about the
to
spatial
image?
distribution of CO? Yes.
You're talking about imaging?
Yes, IFU.
Here. This is a field of view, IFU field of view. So then we, the one of brightest position, I made a spectrum here. This is just from one pixel. As you see, it's very bright. And here is the idea for the distribution of those CO emission here. There is a few positions here and CO and different wavelengths and compared with this silicon ejecta emissions here. So this really high transition, basically CO, this including so many lines and it's a few thousand lines underneath. Even, you know, full resolution, you should be able to see more lines. But it was very interesting to see this, you know, high J vibration lines in this wavelengths.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Welcome to ask questions in Korean.
Thank you for presenting your wonderful results. You already showed the rapid increasement of the dust mass along the time after supernova explosion. Could you please give us a brief explanation for the key physical factors which can determine the time lag between the 0 days and the days when the rapid increasement starts?
With the,
I found that about 50 or 100 days of
yeah,
time lag.
CO and this kind of stuff, dust. Yeah. Yeah.
No. After that, very rapid increasement of
this-
dust mass. No, after.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I found they such kinds of time lag between 0 and day when the rapid increasement of dust mass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
which is the key physical parameter which determines the time lag.
Yeah. So this is the total one. This is different progenitor masses first. Then this Schroeder's model, first I explained the model difference. Schroeder's model basically allow the dust to grow in the supernovae. Higher dust mass than other, this is Salangi paper, this is Schroeder. So it's up to almost, you know, 0.5 solar mass, while this is, you know, 0.02. First, that mass, as you see here, as we EAW with the spectrum there, this particular data, we included the spectral data, the photometry data as well, adding to the near infrared. So you can see it's a lot of different, you know, composition or other times, but still it's all this smaller mass. But in recent some observation, people think maybe measured the stars in JWST has photometry, doesn't have high confirmation with spectroscopy data. However, they think it's growing with the time for 10 or 20 years. That's another suggestion, you know, try to avoid explain this low dust mass at early times. However, Dwegetter also explained this because, you know, optically thick, you don't see the dust behind the other dust. So you only see, you know, portion of the dust. So this subject is really still in debate. Whether, you know, as model predicted before one models, it's supposed to be like day 300 days, it should form most of dust. So whether we just not observe them or, you know, it's optical depth effect. So those are really still in the question. And also we don't have this kind of model yet for type 2b or superluminous, which we see much more mass, much more dust for higher progenitor mass. So those are really more to do. We even don't know the predictions, what to expect.
Thank you. 예, 구원철 회원님.
한국말로 질문해도 된다고
네,
한국말
괜찮아요.
하겠습니다.
하세요.
발표 잘 들었습니다. 그 더스트 포메이션에 대해서 이제 말씀을 많이 하셨는데, 실제로 그 슈퍼노바가 만든 더스트가 우주 공간으로 방출되느냐 하는 것은 또 다른 문제죠. 그 리버스 샥에 의해서 상당수의 더스트가 파괴되기 때문에 실제로 슈퍼노바가 만든 더스트의 몇 퍼센트가 갤럭시로 공급이 되느냐, 그런 관점에서 어떻게 생각하시는지요?
이게 이제 슈퍼노바가 아주 시간이 지난 다음엔 결국은 이제 우리 그 한 10,000 슈퍼노바에서 렘넌트에서 보듯이 인터스텔럼하고 인테그레이션 되는데, 사실 그 세세이에서도 그 제드 이미션이 있잖아요. 그 제드 이미션에서 그런 폴션이 있을 수도 있다고 하는데 참 그 퀀티파이 하기가 쉽지는 않은 것 같아요. 여기서도 여기 이렇게 CO도 멋지 밖에 있잖아요. 그리고 사실 우리가 이젝타도 이 밖에 있는데, 물론 더스트도 있지만 온도가 너무 낮아서 못 볼 수도 있고, 그래서 그 아직까지는 이 영 에이지인 경우는 그렇게 아직은 많지는 않은 것 같은데, 결국은 좀 이젝타가 이렇게 패스트 무빙 나스로 밖에 있듯이 충분히 있을 수도 있을 것 같아요. 근데 그 임플리케이션은 어쩌면 그 매그네타나 젯이나 이런 거에 의해서 많이 좌우를 하는, 그 어떤 사람 서제션 하기를 밖에서 그 더스트가 그로우한다, 우주로 간 다음에 이 슈퍼노바에서 탈출한 다음에 저기 이렇게 그로스 한다고 그런 서제션도 있고, 그러니까 그러니까는 아이디어는 있는데 테스트하기는, 나는 이제 관측하는 사람이니까 그 테스트하기는 그렇게 쉽지 않은 것 같아요.
Any other questions? Yeah, I'd like to ask one question.
어디 질문하시는 분이 어디 계신지 모르겠네. 손 좀 들어줘. Okay, please go ahead.
그냥 웃었는데 마이크.
예.
지금 세티에 계신데 그 외계 행성 찾는 거와 본인 하시는 일하고 연관성은 전혀 없는 건지.
안 그래도 저희 세티 인스튜트가 저기 이번에 큰 그 200 밀리언 달러를 그 CEO 중에 그 실리콘밸리 큰 회사에서 계신 분이 이제 돌아가시면서 이제 그 도네이션을 했는데, 거기서 이제 어떻게 세티가 되는지. 근데 나는 안 그래도 우리 인터널리 펀드도 이제 나눠주려고 그런 연결을 하고 그러는데, 나는 사실 얼리 유니버스에서 이게 이제 별이 처음 태어나고 처음으로 이 몰레큘이 만들어지고 더스트가 만들어지잖아요. 근데 그 올게닉 머티리얼이 라이프가 기본이 된 올게닉 머티리얼이 사실은 썸 포인트 이 만드는 과정에서 어떻게 이렇게 더 복잡하게 되는지, 특히나 이제 올게닉 머티리얼 같은 올게닉 라이프 머티리얼 같은 거는 굉장히 칼본이 많거든요. 그런 면에서 이 어떻게 융합이 되는지, 핵융합이 되고 그게 몰레큘도 만들어지고 그게 또 좀 컴플리케이트는 그 올게닉 머티리얼이 되는지 그런 베이직 그 프로세스를 한다고 나는 생각해요. 그래서 다 그 hidden desire to solve mystery of life.
예, 시간이 벌써 이게 다 돼서 여기서 마쳐야 될 것 같습니다. 다시 한번 노정희 박사님께 감사드립니다.